If you've never been on a motorcycle, then you simply can't begin to understand the feelings of freedom that come with owning and riding. But for some, that's just not enough. There's records out there that need to be broken, and what better way than with a motorcycle? It's a special feeling when breaking and holding a world record, and there are records for just about everything involving a motorcycle that you can possibly imagine. The longest and greatest motorcycle jumps, fastest wheelie, and craziest speed records. Thank you for watching, and enjoy. Longest continuous ride standing on the seat of a motorcycle. Everyone loves a good stunt, especially when it comes to motorcycles. The motorcycle seat stand is a daring stunt, and some riders love to show off how far they can do it. However, Ratnesh Pandey of India decided to make a Guinness World Record attempt out of the stunt and stood on the seat of a Honda Unicorn for 20 miles, 32.3 kilometers, on December 5, 2015. As per the rules, Ratnesh did not touch the handlebars at all at any time during his ride. Longest wheelie on a motorcycle. Doug Domokos, who was also known as the Wheelie King, had the uncanny ability to balance and ride a wheelie on a motorcycle. Ever since a young age, Doug was riding dirt bikes and worked in a motorcycle shop and would take the fixed bikes and ride a wheelie on them to test them. Many people loved his stunts, and he started to attract crowds and soon started working and entertaining people before races by riding wheelies around the track at supercross events and stadiums. Soon, he was featured in magazines. In 1984, Domokos made it into the Guinness Book of World Records by setting a wheelie record of 145 miles at Talladega Speedway in Alabama. Fastest wheelie on a motorcycle. Now that you've heard about the longest wheelie on a motorcycle, how about the fastest wheelie? If you didn't know it, there is a Motorcycle Wheelie World Championship where a bunch of riders try to break records for doing wheelies at breakneck speeds. Egbert van Popta from Holland maxed out his Hayabusa Turbo at 213.309 miles per hour while riding a wheelie and grabbed the Guinness World Wheelie record for fastest speed. That's pretty dang fast to ride on one wheel. Highest altitude reached by motorcycle. If you've ever wondered what the highest place a motorcycle has been taken, we've got that record for you too. The cool thing is, this record wasn't made on just any mountain trail, but to the top of a volcano. The Ojos de Salado volcano in the Atacama region of Chile, which happens to be the world's highest volcano. The record was achieved by Gianfranco Bianchi riding a fuel-injected Suzuki RMZ 450. The ride was treacherous and was made through difficult weather with temperatures as low as -20 degrees Celsius, with 80 km/h winds. At the end of the ride, he made it 6,471.2 meters, which is 21,230 feet 11 inches to grab the record. Most people on one motorcycle. Can you really call this a record? Well, let you decide. The motorcycle in question is, however, specially made so that a bunch of people can jump on it while it's moving down the road. The motorcycle team in India called the ASC Tornadoes like holding on to this record and were able to get 58 people standing on this motorcycle. It's not clear which one of these people are controlling the motorcycle, but there doesn't seem to be much control anyway. It does look a little scary, and at the end, everyone gets off the bike the hard way. Good thing everyone is wearing helmets. 400 kph on a production motorcycle. We don't need to tell you that some motorcycles are blistering fast, but you might be wondering what the fastest motorcycle out there is. Until someone else lays claim to that crown, the Kawasaki H2R seems to be the fastest and produces a max 310 horsepower and can get 326 with ram air. The bike can achieve speeds of over 249 miles per hour. That's 400 kilometers per hour. The supercharged 998cc inline 4-cylinder engine is able to reach that hair-raising speed in just 26 seconds. But don't get your hopes up if you want to try this yourself, because the Kawasaki H2R is a track-only bike, and it would cost you a pretty penny to even get close to one. Fastest motorcycle land speed record. If you thought that was fast, then check out this record. A man by the name of Bill Warner built a wild 1,000 horsepower turbocharged Suzuki Hayabusa, and it was called the world's fastest motorcycle. Although it's not a production motorcycle, and it's also not a streamliner, in which the machine is completely closed. Apparently, Warner was able to pilot his machine to 311 miles per hour on a runway that was just 1.5 miles long. It's very fast for such a short distance. Sadly, Warner was involved in a tragic and fatal accident trying to beat that record. Alain Prieur jump. French stuntman Alain Prieur pulled off many incredible jumps on a motorcycle, but none were probably as brave as the mountaintop jump, which was called the Fear Against Glory stunt. After racing down the mountain road at 62 miles per hour, Alain hit the takeoff ramp and catapults into the air and sails out over the mountain at over a half of a mile above the ground. He then entered as freefall for 500 feet and then pulled the parachute. When he landed, a helicopter picked him up and flew him back to the jump site, where all his fans were waiting to congratulate him. Longest motorcycle jump. A guy named Robbie Madison, who is from Melbourne, Australia, also holds the world record for the longest motorcycle jump. In the attempt, Madison hit the ramp at 165 kilometers per hour, or 102 miles per hour, on his modified Honda CR500, and flew over 20 meters in the air before making a safe landing. He smashed his own record of 100 meters and ended up jumping 107.29 meters. Robbie Knievel jumps the Grand Canyon. The famous son of daredevil Evel Knievel, Robbie Knievel, somewhere in his life decided to follow in his father's footsteps and even pull off a more daring stunt and jump a 60-meter wide chasm of the Grand Canyon. As he leaves the starting point, he seems to easily clear the gorge, which is 2,500 feet above the canyon floor. However, when he lands, he loses control of the bike and hits the barrier. Luckily, the jump was successful, and he didn't have any serious injuries. Fastest speed dragged behind a motorcycle. You see stunt guys in all kinds of movies doing some crazy things, some falling off buildings, some dragged by horses, and even by cars. But how about getting dragged by a motorcycle? It doesn't sound fun to us, but we could be missing the thrill of road rash. Gary Rothwell, who comes from Liverpool, England, decided he wanted to break a crazy record and be dragged behind a motorcycle at over 150 miles per hour. This whole stunt took place on April 18, 1999, in a Brunningthorpe Proving Ground, Leicester, England, and he did it by using a pair of titanium-soled boots. Longest motorcycle ride. Road trips are a lot of fun, and everyone has been on one. But how about a 500,000-mile motorcycle road trip? Emilio Scotto of Buenos Aires holds the Guinness record for the world's longest motorcycle ride, spanning 10 years and going through 279 countries. The ride was done on a 1980 Honda Goldwing GL 1100 motorcycle Scotto calls Black Princess. It was in 1985 that Scotto quit his pharmaceutical company job and decided to see the world instead on his 1100cc Goldwing. He never traveled outside of Argentina before, but by the time he was done, he had gone through 13 64-page passports, one replacement engine for his motorcycle, and used 12,500 US gallons of gasoline, 350 US gallons of oil, 86 tires, 12 batteries, and 9 new seats. Smallest motorcycle in the world. Some of you might get a real kick out of this one. If you've ever wondered what the smallest motorcycle in the world is, it was built by Tom Weiberg of Sweden. The fun thing is seeing Tom ride this machine. It certainly doesn't travel very fast, and we can't even begin to imagine the nasty backache you would get out of riding this thing. But Guinness World Records gave this thing a certificate, making it the smallest motorcycle in the world. Biggest motorcycle. Now that you've seen the smallest motorcycle, you might be wondering what the biggest one is. A mechanic by the name of Ray Bauman, who is from Perth, Australia, spent over $250,000 and built what many say is the biggest motorcycle in the world. He calls it the monster motorbike, and if you have to drive this thing in traffic, it will definitely get the vehicles around you to notice. You've seen the big car crushing monster trucks. Now, there is a car-crushing motorcycle. The motorcycle weighs 13.6 tons, and each one of the tires weighs as much as the entire motorcycle itself. It measures 20 feet long, is powered by a modified Detroit diesel inline V6, and can smash cars just like a monster truck. Most expensive motorcycle in the world. The Neiman Marcus Limited Edition Fighter is a neat-looking bike, and it looks very steampunk and also a bit uncomfortable to ride. And while it might not look street legal at all, it is. The bike was designed by a company called Confederate Motor Company. The Fighter would end up on auction for $11 million with a very unique body that some say resembles the inside of a watch. The Fighter was able to reach speeds of 190 miles per hour, and only 45 of them were made in this limited edition. Largest motorcycle logo. Last on our list is a motorcycle club from Bangladesh, who like to go after world records. So what do you do with hundreds of motorcycles? You create the world's largest logo by parking them all in order. Yes, even Guinness has a record for this too. The logo used 1,257 motorcycles and was achieved by ACI Motors Limited in Dhaka,